Hello everyone, my name is Bob, and this is my video reflection for part 4 of the grammar analysis assignment. In this reflection, I will discuss 4 questions related to the phrases and clauses I used in my academic report about a volunteer activity at Pertubuhan Kebajikan Kanak-Kanak Nantisa. I will refer to specific examples from my report throughout this reflection. Question 1. Which phrase type did I use most naturally? The phrase type I used most naturally in my report was the prepositional phrase. Looking back at my report, I realized that prepositional phrases appeared in almost every sentence, often without me consciously thinking about them. For example, I wrote a registered welfare home located at 735 Jalan Temiang, Seremban Negeri Sembilan. The phrase at 735 Jalan Temiang is a prepositional phrase that gives the location of the home. I used it naturally because providing specific details like locations, times, and purposes feels instinctive when writing a report. I also wrote students from 3 different programs took part in it. Here, from 3 different programs is another prepositional phrase that post-modifies the noun students. I used it automatically to specify which group was involved. I think prepositional phrases come naturally to me because reports require a lot of specific details about places, times, and participants. And prepositional phrases are the most efficient way to include that information. Question 2. Which clause type was most challenging? The clause type I found the most challenging was the noun clause. Noun clauses were difficult because they can play several different grammatical roles. For example, as a subject, an object, or a complement. Noun clauses identify which role they serve requires careful analysis. In my report, I wrote, many expressed that the activity broadened their understanding of community welfare. The clause that the activity broadened their understanding is a noun clause functioning as the object of the verb express. While I wrote it naturally, it did not immediately recognize it as a noun clause during the analysis stage. I kept confusing noun clauses with subordinate adverb clauses because both begin with a conjunction and both depend on a main clause. What helped me was asking, can this clause be replaced by a noun or a pronoun? If yes, it is a noun clause. For example, I could replace that the activity broadened their understanding with the word it. Many expressed it. That test confirmed it was functioning as a noun. So, while noun clauses were the most challenging, working through that difficulty actually deepens my understanding of clause functions. Question 3. Did analyzing both phrases and clauses change how I view my writing? Yes, it did. Before this analysis, I wrote my report focusing mostly on content, what information to include, how to organize the sections, and how to maintain a formal tone. I did not consciously think about the grammatical structures I was using. But after the analysis, I realized that my writing choices were not random. For example, although the event was successful, several challenges arose during planning and execution. I had used although to introduce the challenges section, but I never thought of it as a concessive subordinate clause. Analyzing it made me realize that this structure was actually serving an important function. It acknowledged success before presenting problems, which made my writing more balanced and objective. Similarly, I wrote, seeing the living conditions and the resilience of the residents deepens the students' appreciation. I recognize through analysis that this is a participle clause, functioning as the subject. is a structure that frames an observation as the clause of a result. That is a sophisticated academic writing technique, and I had used it instinctively. This analysis made me more aware that grammar is not just a set of rules to follow. It is a toolkit for constructing meaning, and every clause and phrase I choose shapes how my reader interprets the information. Question 4. What will I improve in future reports? First, I want to use a greater variety of clause structures. Looking at my report, I notice I rely heavily on simple main clauses and subordinate clauses beginning with which or that. In future, I would like to use more adverb clauses of purpose and result. For example, clauses beginning with so that or in order to make the cause and effect relationships in my writing clearer. Second, I want to use noun phrases more precisely. When I use noun phrases frequently, some of them were quite simple. For example, just the children or the students. In academic writing, more complex noun phrases with pre-modifiers and post-modifiers carry more information and sound more formal. So instead of the students, I could write the 25 student volunteers from 3 different programs. To conclude, this grammar analysis task has been a valuable learning experience. It taught me to look beyond the content of my writing and examine the structures I use to construct meaning. I look forward to applying these insights in my future academic writing. Thank you for listening.